Hello fellow homesteaders. Today we're going to learn how to dehydrate eggs. I continually meet people when I'm talking about homesteading or giving a presentation that's surprised that you can dehydrate eggs. It's not a difficult process. There's several ways that you can do it. This is called the wet-dry method. We are not going to cook the eggs first. Some people believe that that can help decrease the chances of getting salmonella poisoning. It may or it may not. It's a very stinky process because you cook the eggs without any water or milk as if you were scrambling them. But then you put them in a dehydrator and the smell is horrible, like worse than dehydrating onion smell, just a different kind of stink. And two, they don't reconstitute or rehydrate as well or taste as well, whether you're using them in baking or cooking or if you're just scrambling them, over an open flame when you're camping. So I prefer this method. It takes out a step that I think is unnecessary. I don't know the chances of salmonella on the USDA recommendation basis with dehydrating your eggs at home. I know many people who've done it. I've done it for years. Nobody's ever gotten sick. Although I have had salmonella poisoning twice from the tortoises that we rescued and had for a time till we found them forever homes. And as careful as I was, I still contracted salmonella poisoning from their handling when I was tending to them. It is not pleasant. Fever, diarrhea, stomach ache for days to a week or so. Rarely do you have to be hospitalized, but sometimes it happens to deal with the dehydration. It's not pleasant, so that's something you do have to keep in consideration when you are doing any type of food preservation. But I'm going to go ahead and get the eggs cracked, get them here in a bowl. I am saving my eggshells because they are way too handy to have in the garden. And right now we are raising some dwarf banana plants that could use an extra shot of calcium. So I will rinse out the shells and crunch them up and put them right down the banana plants. If you happen to be growing banana plants, dwarf or otherwise, if your family is eating bananas, it's great to chop up the peels once you've rinsed them off and put them in there. Make your own little compost right in the banana plant container. I'm using store-bought eggs. Not something I would typically do. If you hit a big sale or you just are not just a homesteader who likes to bargain but a homesteading prepper, you may want to go ahead and pick up eggs from a big sale and get them dehydrated and preserve them. And that's great. Dehydrating eggs is one of the few ways that you can use store-bought eggs for preservation that we'll be talking about for this article. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do 7 eggs because of my past experience. About 6 is all that you can get into a tray. These go out of date today. Oops. About dumped my eggs, and I wanted to save a couple to show you the mineral preservation process. But all the eggs we have from our chickens and ducks are in dehydrators. I hope you don't hear humming too loudly in the background. So I did not have any farm eggs to use. But you could get during the spring and summer, depending on how many chickens and ducks you have, like 10 dozen eggs rather, in your fridge at one time, or you keep them somewhere cool in the garage, which I prefer to fridge keeping. So it can be hard to use your eggs up when your birds are producing. We keep Buckeye chickens. They're a heritage breed. I always like to raise heritage breeds, and not only that, they lay a nice medium to large brown egg that's delicious. They're dual-purpose birds, meaning they're meat and egg birds. I am whipping this up here while we're chatting because it takes a good while. You could use a blender or food processor, and it would speed it up because these have to be, it's essential to having them turn out. You can't just beat them up a good bit like you're going to scramble them. You really, really need everything mixed together well, and I'll show you how it looks here at the end. I just don't feel like going through all the bother of cleaning out my food processor and all the blades for something I can do with my own hands. But the Buckeye chickens, they are an endangered bird. I think depending on what list, they're threatened or on a watch list. But either way, there's not a whole lot of them left thanks to the industrial chicken farms. We're losing a lot of our heritage breeds. And they are from my home state of Ohio. They are also the only breed of bird in the entire country that was created by a woman. In the mid to late 1860s, her name was Nettie Metcalf from Warren County, Ohio, just a few counties over from where I live. So it took me a little over 2 years to find these birds. I could order them from a hatchery in California or a hatchery in Texas. If they were Buckeye chickens, I wanted them to come from Ohio. And I finally was able to get some from Meyer Hatchery, which is in the Cincinnati area. Great hatchery, ships nationwide. I just got lucky enough that there were still some left in one of their hatchings. They lay about 150 to 200 eggs a year. They aren't super large producers as far as volume, but they're steady producers. They will lay eggs all winter long. I didn't get eggs this winter from these birds like I will next winter. I got some near the end, but they were just reaching maturity. And with heritage breeds, they're not pumped full of hormones and antibiotics from a commercial breeder. I guess Meyer Hatchery is commercial, but it's like a nice, wonderful family business that raises their birds in a natural way as possible. So it's not a factory farm by any means, or a large breeder, an industrial scale that doesn't allow the birds outdoor access and all the things you would like to do with your own birds to keep them healthy and give them a good quality of life and expose them to germs early on so they can fend them off later. It's a wonderful hatchery. Everything I've ever gotten from there is done well. Okay, I'm going to show you about 2 minutes in what it looks like. It's looking a little bit like orange juice right now. It's getting beaten together a lot better, but it's still not to where I'd like it to be. I'm going to keep going. Excuse me. It feels a little thick. Got the egg yolks mixed up. I'm getting a thicker consistency now. The watery part of the egg yolk is all mixed in. It's getting close, but you want to beat it like you are beating up scrambled eggs times 10. And to be sure, you could run it through your food processor, your blender. And I have done that before, but unless I'm doing dozens upon dozens of eggs, it's just really not worth the bother of getting everything out and making it dirty. Put a nice dishwasher in town. We moved to this honey lodge that we turned into a house on our 56-acre homestead. Didn't have a dishwasher and thought about it, but one of my former cheerleaders has a young family and she could use extra money coming to clean, and I think dishes get cleaner that way. So in between when I'm doing dishes up, she comes and cleans once a week, and it's a win-win. So no dishwasher. So cleaning out the food processor is a bit more of a chore now. All right, I think we're about ready. I'm not really seeing any bubbles or anything loose. I'll get out my handy dandy Dollar General cute wood spoon. For all the lady homesteaders watching, you should check these out if there's a Dollar General in your area. Very cute and country looking. Kind of has a Pioneer Woman look for not the same price. It's like $1 for 2 of them. Okay, so now we have nice, really whipped up eggs. And what I'm going to do next is get my tray liner. Well, I need to see where I put my tray liner. Here we go. This is a mesh. Oh, see if we can get it out. A mesh dehydrator tray liner. When I'm dehydrating tomatoes or things that are small or very liquidy, or it could be very greasy and oily, I put it on this so I don't lose a lot of what I'm dehydrating through the racks in the dehydrator, which of course are bigger. I can poke a pinky finger into one pretty well. So you would lose a lot of stuff and have a lot more mess. This is my older dehydrator, which still works great. It's a Nesco brand. I'm on our 3rd one now. I've been very happy with the brand. I love Excaliburs, and that's what my husband told me to get myself. But I've had good luck with these, and it was a lot less expensive. I do like the square ones better than the round ones because they do seem to hold more or fit larger foods better if you're doing ears of corn or something like that. But I do have a square one now that I got several months back, and it came with these nice mesh liners, but did not include any of these plastic tray inserts, which I have a good collection of from my other 2 round Nescos. So I cannot showcase my newer dehydrator today simply because I don't have the right inserts. But here's the bottom tray. Got it out and rinsed it off. This one was out in the garage for storage because I don't use it as much anymore as we get in the middle of canning season. So I put my tray together. If I'm just doing this 1 tray batch of eggs today, I'm going to go ahead and put several trays on here to get it lifted up for a little bit better airflow. And as far as making good use of your electric while you're using it, it really does not pay just to do 1 row of something. But I just wanted to be able to demonstrate what we were doing today and didn't have anything else to dehydrate. So I have 3 trays on here. 3 to 4 trays is usually really good. 5, all these middle price dehydrators I've ever owned do a good job with 5. But then if you're having more than 4 trays, or even with 4, switch them around a little bit, which you have to be careful when you're lifting out something as liquidy as these eggs. And you probably need a helper, one person to hold and lift out with 2 hands, while somebody else is doing the same thing with a tray full of eggs under the bottom, and switch them around. Especially if you have a lower end dehydrator, so everybody gets a chance. Every tray gets a chance near the top, where the heat's going, and also down bottom, and where it's not quite so hot. And it seems to tend to dry them more evenly. And when you're using a tray like this, which is the insert that I use for when I make fruit leather, there is a lot more blockage of the air because this is a solid all the way around through here. Air circulates up still, but only through these little tiny vents here and from the top down. So I find it more important to rotate my trays and use less trays when I have these type of solid inserts in. And as with anything else you're dehydrating, make sure you put on a level surface. Found out really quickly the first time I dehydrated something liquidy in our old house that the countertops were not quite as level as what I thought. And when you're doing something liquidy, it's not as difficult to make sure everything's cut the same size, the same depth, the same width, and put that spread out evenly so it dries well together, because everything just kind of flows. But you still want to make sure that your whole tray is filled up as much as possible. So I'm just going to take this and slowly pour it in. I'm going to move the bowl around a bit while I have it so I don't get anything clumped up in one spot. If you pour in one spot, that will happen, and sometimes you'll get an overflow. This little lip right here at the end of the solid tray, it's really not very tall. If you start pouring quickly in one area, you may lose some of what you're dehydrating as it overflows before it spreads out. And that's probably about 1 egg that's left. I did a little more than what I should have just in case I didn't come up with enough to fill my tray. And as usual, 6 eggs works. I'm going to try to tilt this down a little bit here so you can get a closer look. There are a few air bubbles or spots in here. You want to look for that because you don't want any more of that than, oops, let me get you back where you belong now so you can see everything. Any more of that than you can avoid, because those air bubbles are not going to help things dry. So I'm going to put my hands on only the tray where the eggs are, kind of lift it up and give it a little shake as much as I can. Get out those air bubbles. Tap it around a little bit. And I still have a couple, so I'm going to take my handy dandy cute Dollar General spoon and kind of knock them out a little bit there. And then once you pour this in, if you determine that your eggs are not beaten up quite well enough, just carefully lift it up and with a helper in a nice wide bowl, pour it back in and beat some more. It's not easy, you are going to lose some. So I suggest making sure you have things beaten very well before you pour. I'm going to get the lid of my dehydrator now. I'm just going to set it right down in here. And why is it not sitting down in here? Oh, please tell me I did not get the wrong lid for the wrong machine. I have combinations, several different dehydrators, and even though the Nesco ones, some have lids like this in the middle, or openings, and some have more of a flush one. So when I went out to get my dehydrator, apparently I grabbed the wrong lid. But that's okay, you get the idea. I would run out and grab the other one right away and show you, but I'm going to have to clean it off because I know it's full of dust, even though they're stored in trash bags. You simply sit your lid on top, and yours is going to fit flush on your machine like mine is not at the moment because I grabbed the wrong lid. And you sit it on there, and before you plug it in, you need to put it on the proper setting. And USDA recommends eggs be cooked or baked or anything else 165 degrees. It would be the rare dehydrator that goes up to 165 degrees. The highest setting on my dehydrator is 145, and that's where I put my eggs. Several people who are worried about salmonella that I've talked to that have done eggs have a 160 degree setting on their dehydrator, and I imagine that's a more expensive Excalibur one. So they do it at 160, and they've never had any salmonella problems. I never have either. I have eggs that I have stored that have lasted, I think my first batch that we still have some of are about 5 years old. proper dehydration, proper storage, good quality eggs that have been well kept before you use them. You want to use eggs that are as fresh as possible. Somebody could get sick on eggs tomorrow. That could happen from something you buy at the grocery store. Lord knows we hear about salmonella and E. coli and recalls on grocery store produce and meats almost on a weekly basis anymore. So you have to decide your own risk if you want to do something below 165 degrees. There's no real guide for dehydrating eggs as far as recommendations put out by some type of governmental entity. This is just what has always worked for me and people who taught me, and I've not ever had a problem. 10 to 12 hours is where you're going to need to dehydrate these. Eggs get kind of oily. Like cheese, you need to maybe check it every once in a while when you're doing your switch around to make sure nothing is bunched up. Like right now I've hit this, and where I hit it, you can see a void right here. My eggs are ran over the other side, which means I want to have, I found a spot that wasn't level. A table might be better than a countertop. I have a spot that's going to be thicker than the rest of it, which means it is not going to dry as quickly as everything else in the tray. And you're going to dehydrate them until they look kind of like peanut brittle. And after they become peanut brittle, and we'll see that in the second part of this video once I get the right lid on here and they're done, then you powder them. You don't have to. You can leave them chunked. I tried that once as an experiment. I found they get more oily when you store them that way. They are harder to measure and reconstitute, and they also don't seem to keep as long as when you powder them. And powder them is very simple. I don't do that part by hand, but you could with a mortar and pestle without a problem. I put them in my blender, and the chunks of dehydrated egg that look like peanut brittle, and I just pulverize them, and they look like a powder just like you would buy from a long-term food storage company. And I put them either in a vacuum sealed bag or preferably a mason jar, and I use the mason jar lid attachment from the vacuum seal machine, and we store them in a cool dark place with the rest of our food items we've dehydrated or canned from our garden. I've not had any problem. We just popped open some dry canned crackers a few months ago that I had canned. First time I tried to do dry canning, the same time I tried to do dehydrated eggs. And I'm thinking it was about 7 years ago. They didn't taste as super crisp as what you would like. They didn't taste soggy, and nobody got sick. So the dry canning worked also. So how you store things makes a huge difference in how long they will keep.